Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Senator Ben Allen.
Thank you. I gotta say how incredibly excited I am to see the energy that exists out there for this club. This has always been a great club. It's always stood up for progressive values, and we've always had a great core group of folks, and so many of you are here today. It's also so great to see so many more people here and so much energy, and that's because we all know how important the task is at hand. You know, this election woke a lot of people up and made us realize that we all have to get involved, we all have to get engaged. It's so vitally important for us to do what we need to do. I grew up right here in Santa Monica. I went to high school over here at Santa Monica High School, and I remember I was over there at the rally when we were announcing the opening of the headquarters. And I said, you know, this high school was a school that taught me that diversity was a value, that science actually mattered, that environmental sustainability was something that was important, that people coming from different backgrounds and working together mattered, that truth matters and that facts matter. The community matters, that, you know, all those sorts of things that we thought we always took for granted. Those are values that I grew up here living with in Santa Monica, and it just seems that they're all under assault right now in Washington, D.C. And so I'm proud to be part of a California government right now that is pushing back and fighting back against the excesses of the Trump administration, particularly in the environmental arena. I'm chair of our environmental caucus, and we're working really hard right now to fight every attempt to try to cut back on our auto emission standards, on our ability to protect our own public lands, on our ability to protect our coastline from offshore oil drilling, to make sure that we can continue to be a global leader on environmental leadership, on issues like climate change and greenhouse gas reductions and our renewable portfolio standard. All of those things that have set California apart, have set us ahead of everybody else. We're going to keep fighting for those prerogatives, for those progressive values in Sacramento. I'm really grateful to have a great group of folks that I get to work with here locally in the west side of here in Santa Monica. So thank you for everything you're doing. Thank you for getting out and calling for our candidate from the national level. It's all that we need to be able to restore some sanity and some accountability to Washington, D.C. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ben. I can't wait to send you back to
Sacramento. I got to put you on the spot about these things. I just got to. You know, it wouldn't be the robust opposition if I didn't.
Right.
AB 84. There is not a single group in support of this thing. All the Dem clubs are against it. The party had a resolution against it. The good government groups are against it. This is a way to make an end run so corporations can give to candidates. I did a whole live stream about it last week. It got over 5,000 views. How are you going to vote in the elections committee?
I'm not going to vote for it.
Excellent.
I mean, I'm concerned about everything you've been talking about. The one thing that does continue to kind of be on my mind is how we make sure that I'm working with Susie and some others to see if there's a way that we can allow for the party delegates to do a later endorsement if there's a strong danger of there being a Republican versus Republican runoff. So that's one of the issues that's out there right now, that the leadership can't do anything if the party hasn't endorsed and we're heading toward election day and they're worried about there being a Republican versus Republican, or like a Mendoza type situation that we had down in ST 32.
Right.
But I think that the way it's written right now, I'm concerned about, we've done a lot of work to try to put in place accountability measures and caps to contributions, and I just think it takes us in the opposite direction. So that's my core concern.
Excellent. Well, you just broke news here on the robust opposition to tell us how you're going to vote. Now, to other bills regarding the environment. There's the 2 fire bills in the Assembly and one in the Senate that would pass the costs on from the shareholders to the ratepayers. What do you think about that?
I think it's going to all come down to the details. I think everybody always knew that there was going to have to be some sort of balance, but I think the shareholders need to pay the bulk of it. The question is, how do we make sure that these utilities literally don't go bankrupt? Because if that were to happen, that could really dramatically impact access to energy and electricity all throughout the north, or in fact all throughout the state. But there's no question that that the ratepayers ought to bear a major part of the responsibility of the burden. I mean, we do have this strange issue here where it's strict liability. Our society, for better or for worse, has kind of tasked these utilities with putting up, all of this electricity all over the state. And if there's, the conditions are right and winds happen and then there's fire, there's a lot of heat. And with all the drought we have, much of the state's a bit of a tinderbox. And so if we're gonna so we have a situation where we have strict liability, and then the conditions just converge such that we had something like what was it, $25 billion of damage. I mean, it's
Right.
an obscene amount of money.
Right. Okay. What about grid regionalization? A lot of people think that's going to bring much more dirty coal. I and my viewers are against that. Californians for Energy Choice is against that. Where do you stand on that bill?
Pretty skeptical of it, Bill. I mean, I actually hosted a big debate on the issue at the Environmental Caucus just this last week, and I think my core concern is that, I mean, I think conceptually, if we could figure out a way to regionalize the grid and do so in a way where California's policies were leading the way, where we were able to push the entire West toward more sustainable energy sourcing, that would actually be a great thing. And I think that's part of why folks like the Union of Concerned Scientists and the NRDC are so excited about it. But I also think that the problem is that, and I think if there were a Democratic president right now, I'd probably feel better about it. But with the Trump administration in charge and running the FERC, and I know the FERC has traditionally been pretty a little more independent, but there's just a recent ruling of the FERC that seemed to call that into question. The Trump appointees of the FERC seem to follow the line with some of the other appointees that Trump has had that break with tradition and be more aggressive.
But even without Trump, you know that Obama quadrupled fracking. You know that Warren Buffett wants this to happen. He made a big bet on fossil fuels. He bought Burlington Northern Railroad because he knew it would be a way to transport fracked oil throughout the country on bomb trains. So I'm not so sure. I mean, Trump is horrific. Obviously, everything is 100 times worse with Trump.
But at the very least, they would probably be more respectful of California's interest in trying to pursue more aggressive environmental standards. Because right now we have a president who's so openly antagonistic toward everything we're trying to do.
Yeah.
The way the bill's written right now, if we it would dismantle the Cal ISO, and then which would expand FERC's power over our system, our CPUC and our CEC would go out there and negotiate. But right now there's no mechanism for it to even have to get gubernatorial approval, let alone legislative approval. It's true that the FERC has a lot of power over our system as it stands right now, but if we were to dismantle the Cal ISO, that would increase the FERC's power over our system. And I think that's the big fear. Right now within California, we produce so little coal within our own system right now in California that even if the FERC wanted to up the amount of coal and kind of shove it down our throats, they really couldn't because there's just no coal being produced in our zone. But if we were to then regionalize, and it would include states like Wyoming, which of course have a ton of wind potential, which would be great. But there's also a lot of coal out there too. And an ideologically driven FERC could kind of force that coal down our throats.
Right.
I think that's the difference between a Trump FERC versus a Democrat FERC. I just don't see the Democrats kind of going out of their way to try to shove a coal solution down our throats within a regionalization context.
Wait, the final bill is Bobby Hertzberg's SB 237. We call it the Direct Access Bill. We feel, I was very instrumental in killing Steve Bradford's bill that would have made community choice energy opt-in as opposed to opt-out, which it currently is.
Okay.
This is a very similar bill because it allows large commercial users to purchase directly from dirty energy sources, bypassing the community choice energy system in their community, which would kill community choice energy, which has taken off like wildfire. It produces more clean energy at a cheaper cost to the users. So I'm wondering if you're aware of this bill, or is it you're hearing this for the first time?
Heard for the first time. I tend to be pretty in line with the community choice aggregators.
If you're convinced that Hertzberg's bill, SB 237, will decimate community choice energy systems, would you commit to voting against it?
If it would decimate community choice aggregation, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
As I say, I'm very supportive of our CCA efforts here on the west side. Most of my cities are trying to do it now, and I'm a little surprised that you want to do something like that.
Well, I'm going to get you some information. Who's the person, Sam, that I get the information to?
It's Tina Andolina in our
Give me
Sacramento
the email.
tina.andolina@scn.ca.gov.
Great. And this is Samuel Liu, who is a field representative for Senator Ben